Hey guys, so in this video I'm just gonna breeze through arbitration and coach rehiring before we move on to adding bigger and better players to the roster. So first with arbitration, you can see Gorky's Bautista, he's ARB1, he wants a pretty low amount. In a long-term deal, he wants a lot more. I've seen people give the long-term deal in ARB1. That's retarded. There's no point. We can pay him 1.8 million. Why would we pay him 7+ million? It makes no sense. So we'll wait for arbitration for him. Damaso Guerrero, we can see has 98 patience, which means he'll pretty much re-sign with us for the rest of eternity, which is always nice. He only wants 3 years, so we'll just give him 3 years. If he had a lower patience, like below 60, I would probably just give him 5 years, so I could lock him up as long as I can before he hits the open market. A lot of people fail to do that, which is maximize the time period for which your guy's cost controlled. If he's going to command, 10 million plus in the open market, I don't know that Guerrero would, but there's a good chance that he might. So, but fortunately, we don't have to worry about that because he wants to stay in Boston forever because he's a patient motherfucker. Now, it got our Julio, decent split. It's pretty shitty everything else, and it manifests with a very hittable guy. With a good defense and a neutral ballpark, we could probably shave about 20 points off his OBP and 25 off slugging. It's a rough estimate. That would make him barely usable, but not for 4 million. I'm gonna cut him. Maybe I'll re-sign him for like 1.5 million at spring training if I really need another pitcher. Hopefully not, though. Felix Millwood, he gives us a lot of innings out of the pen, and in spite of his weak versus righty, you'd think he would be usable. The numbers suggest otherwise. It's kind of a small sample. I could keep him and hope that he improves, but he would need to improve by a lot more than it would be reasonable to project for him to be worth the roster spot in $2.6 million. So we're not going to pay him. And everyone else is rags. You can see Rodney Bush. You might think, oh, maybe his velocity, ground ball, fly ball, and pitches make up for his lack of control and splits, and the answer is a resounding no. So these three guys are just terrible, so I'm just going to release them right off the bat. Julio and Millwood, I'll add to the trade block and keep around for maybe like a day, just in case somebody decides to bite on them. I'm not going to post them in World Chat because, I don't know, I think it's kind of douchey to post your really shitty RL eligible players that nobody obviously wants in World Chat. I mean, there is the rare occasion where somebody's flips you, some guy you'll stash in AAA and never use at the major league level. But every time somebody posts somebody who's just blatantly terrible and says, I'm looking for a prospect, it makes me hate them just a little bit. So I'm not going to be that guy. I'll just shop them passively on the trade block. So now let's check out our coaches that want to be rehired. Minor league coaches is textbook. I'll just rehire whoever wants to stay. Minor league coaches is just something I want to get out of the way. I'm not too anal about maxing out the quality. Third base coach we definitely want to keep. Bullpen coach we definitely don't want to keep. These are obvious. The important things are fielding instructor, pitching coach, bench coach, and hitting coach. First of all, fielding instructor. Diego Santana has a 59, which actually makes him the 22nd best fielding instructor in this world. So I am going to keep him, especially considering I have no position player prospects. Normally, I don't really mind spending 4 or 5 million for an 80 plus fielding instructor, but especially considering that they'll normally re-sign for cheap for at least a year or two, so you get pretty decent bang for your buck getting those extra glove and throwing arm points out of your position player prospects. But since I don't have any and I want to save money, I'm just going to roll with Diego Santana for pretty much as long as he'll stay around, probably, because he'll be respectable throughout the years and then probably ditch my ass when he actually becomes good. Regarding bench coaches, pitching coaches, and hitting coaches, if you're paying more than $1 million for those guys at the major league level, you're doing it wrong. I'll get into more on that later. But that's pretty much it for now. And in the next installment, I'll actually start busting some moves and revamping the roster. So that'll be fun. Alright, see ya.